So I did a mad countdown thing on Mastodon a while ago in relation to music, and I gotta say that I was very credible with my facial expressions that were very miserable like a sad puppy dog. So I'm gonna replicate that again in this video. Lamb of God to me was one of those bands that I got into very early in the days that I started liking metal. You know, after Slipknot and Bullet for My Valentine and Trivium, all those basic ones to get into, and Avenged Sevenfold. And they just came in and kind of blew the roof off the place. So last time I talked about my top 10 favourite songs off an album. This time I'm going to be talking about my top favourite albums from a band. From worst to best. That's not an official statement, that's just an opinion. As it says in the title, it should say IMO in brackets. I don't want to seem as a part of the elitist part of this subculture. So let's not waste any time. I think this is going to be a top 8, mainly because there is a certain album I do want to talk about. Some people will know what I'm talking about. Let's kick it off. Oith! So at the bottom of the list we've got New American Gospel. Now I want to start out by saying I don't hate any Lamb of God album. I think that some stand out more than others. And New American Gospel to me is an album that has a few songs like Black Label and In the Absence of the Sacred and Letter to the Unborn to stand out. But the rest of it comes off a bit more basic than any other stuff that they've done. And I'll admit I'm a bit of an audiophile as well, so Lamb of God's much earlier work has a bit of lackluster in terms of production quality. Sorry to say, it does. So I just don't dig the quality here, and I think Randy's vocals have also improved a lot throughout the years, and that's something that can be taken on board through any future albums that they produce. So my favourite song off the album, Black Label, I really dig the intro. I wish that dinging sound was just the start of the intro, if I'm honest. I don't think, if it went into a more solid sound, then I'd be a bit more for it, but I don't know, somebody's probably going to come out and say I'm not a true fan. I don't know, I'm just a bit of an indifferent fan. Scythe! So next on the agenda is one of Lamb of God's more recent releases, Wrath. Now they went into a more thrashy tune with this, upbeat, really punchy. I think when it comes to that, it kind of loses a bit of its creativity in its stuff. They started off with an intro called Passing, and it doesn't really fit the album that well, because it transfers into In Your Words, and the songs just don't mix together well. I think this was more of a groove-inspired album, and I can respect that. Personally, to me, I just more for Lamb of God's more creative and innovative stuff, rather than just going all out with more rhythmic, I could say for that. However, I can credit Randy's vocals, because he goes above and beyond with the harsh singing, and a lot of more of a, like he was just doing a more of a rasp in earlier records, now he's putting more of a human-like touch on things. And this album does get credit for portraying more of a raw sound. So my favourite song off the album would be Broken Hands. It starts off, you know, just like releasing everything into the wild, and then other noticeable ones would be Set to Fail, Dead Seeds, and Everything to Nothing. Quick! So as promised, I'm gonna talk about that Burn the Priest album. Now, why not talk about much earlier work? Surprisingly, this album has better production quality than New American Gospel, and it does have a lot of groove influences everywhere. Like, you can tell that a lot of stuff was inspired from Machine Head with Burn My Eyes and things like that. And the band had to start somewhere, and for somewhere like this to end up with and begin the road to becoming Lamb of God, can't give it any more credit than that. So my favourite song is Resurrection number 9, and another notable song off the album is Salvation. Pimp! So the next one, and you're gonna hate me for this, Ashes of the Wake. Yep, admittedly, it's not number 1. The reason that I don't like this as many as the ones that are up from the list, sorry, I'm a bit shy at the moment, is because it goes somewhere really great. It's great. All songs are amazingly put together, but it just seems to stay there. Like, it has this, on a line graph, it has a high flat line. Like, there's not many songs that rise truly above others. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying, in terms of variety, this album doesn't have a great deal of that. But it is clear that they knew what they were going in with and what they were going to come out with. And yeah, it was quite surprising at first. I mean, I did prefer this in my early days of listening to Lamb of God. I really loved this album as I was growing up. My favourite song off the album would be Ashes of the Wake, the title track, but other noticeable ones would be One Gun, Now You've Got Something to Die For. I do like Laid to Rest, but I just feel that Lamb of God have made a lot better stuff down the line. Something with, again, more of an edge.
Pétoire!
So yeah, next on the list is Sacrament, and this is where, for me, Lamb of God just started to polish up. They started taking other things into account. What kind of innovation they could bring to the table, what different effects they could use. It just seemed more quality-wise to be that one gem. Redneck is one of my guilty pleasure songs, I'm gonna be honest. You know, hearing it live, it just really kicks its way through every mosh pit that you get involved in. And the album just starts off extremely strong with Walk With Me in Hell, which I personally think is the best song off the album. So I'm glad that's one of the highest rated Lamb of God songs, because I can definitely agree there that it is such a special song. Other songs off the album would be Black in the Cursed Sun, Descending, Pathetic, Again We Will Rise, or Again We Rise. Why did I forget that? I'm truly not a fan, am I? Like, if you just listen to the percussion of Walk With Me in Hell, ugh. And that's the thing with Lamb of God. Even though this album was significantly different to Ashes of the Wake, you can still tell it's Lamb of God. It's just in a different kind of format.
3!
Next, we've got As the Palaces Burn. I kind of had a different opinion to it before the 2013 remastered came out, but when that came out, my god, it's very good to realize how amazing this album actually is. I mean, yeah, the original sound, I mean, I'm not saying it didn't do much justice because it is one of their most favourite albums by people, but showing this, you can truly understand, I think. I think this album has what Ashes of the Wake didn't, and that's the ability to step into fiery territory and come out the other side just kicking and screaming. It shows you it means business, with my personal favourite off the album is Devil in the God's Country. Other ones would be Ruin, pretty typical one, 11th Hour, another typical one, but even Purified is a great one because that bridge sounds very melodic in a way. But let's not forget Vigil, which shows how Lamb of God can go into this more melodic and quiet area that people tell them not to go into, but they still go into it and say, "Ha, fuck you. I knew what I was doing the whole time."
Die!
Next, we've got their latest, number 7, Stormondrong. I think I said that right. I wasn't quite hooked on Still Echoes, but hearing how this album was put together is pretty amazing to listen to, especially with songs like my personal favourite, Footprints, which just has this insane intro with probably one of Chris Adler's best examples of drumming that he's done, besides from, I mean, Descending is another example. That's one of Sacrament that people drum to all the time. But yeah, this is Lamb of God going back to their roots, more of Ashes of the Wake inspired, but also bringing some stuff from even more recent albums along the way. You know, from Resolution, they brought more 512, however you want to pronounce that. That's more of an example of that. The cameos from, like, the lead singer of Deftones in Embers, as well as the premise to that song, and Greg from the Dillinger Escape Plan. Sorry, I forget. It's such a wordy title. Again, I'm a true metal fan. It's just got a lot of good qualities to it. It's a technical gem. It's a lot more solid than Ashes of the Wake, but like I said with Ashes, the Flatline, this one has a few peaks as well. And there's a lot of diversity in Randy's vocals as well. He went back to that more raspy kind of style that he had, and I don't have much wrong with it. I mean, I did post on Twitter that I do prefer his other style, where he goes into more bassy kind of vocals. But it's a welcome change and reversion. Is that how you say it? Reverted back?
In!
And yeah, I know a lot of people won't agree with me on my number 1, but my personal favourite album is Resolution, the album before Stormondrong. I don't know what it is. Something just instantly got me hooked on this album. I don't know if it's that I feel that Lamb of God can do a lot of great songs in drop C sharp. Maybe it's the fact that Desolation is just such a really getting into grips with losing your humanity, kind of fast and just insane kind of riffs that you want to present to your audience, then coming in with more of a groove of Ghost Walking. I think it's got everything. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of places where that innovation of riffs is kind of lacking, but I think it fits to the style that this album wanted to go for. You know, in songs like Insurrection is what I meant. I'm gonna keep some outtakes in here because it's funny. It's probably the most melodic song in terms of not having anything quiet on the album. I know King Me is the most melodic they've got, but Insurrection is another kind of example. I think this is the most fresh and new Lamb of God I've ever gone to, and the 14 songs on the album, excluding bonus tracks, I think a lot of the songs do speak for themselves. I mean, it does have a bit of lack in the center, but I think there's plenty from the album to choose from, and that is why I think Resolution is the best. IMHO. So another list bites the dust. I had this one planned for about a month now. I've been asked to review the latest Bullet for my Valentine album. I wanted to keep album reviews despite not doing any in written form on Tumblr, but because I was in the middle of reviewing that new album from All That Remains, butchering it. The thing is, I'd rather make collective lists like this so I can cover a lot more ground, so that I have room to make other kinds of videos, because this is going to be more of a media channel when I can get my head around it, and more of a social channel, like talking about me and my personal things and things like that, which is why I'm mostly in front of the camera on this channel. So yeah, it's sort of a vlog coming into this video. I personally like it. I hope you do as well, because it's not just about the music, it's about the person who likes the music. So yeah, now you know. Thank you, and lights out.
Tabloid! The editors will gain power as soon as the Age of Dark comes into man!
There's been a sort of speculation going around for donkey's years now, well, since video was invented, that is it really a good idea to watch your videos back or watch your past performance to, you know, maybe learn from any mistakes and see what was good?